Welcome, Corey Quinn here. You've tuned in to a bonus episode of the Deep Specialization Podcast. For a limited time, every week, we're releasing a chapter of my new book, Anyone, Not Everyone, a proven system to escape founder-led sales. This is in addition to the weekly episode that we release every Wednesday. In case you don't know me, I'm a 17-year veteran of the agency space. I was recently the chief marketing officer at an agency called Scorpion. While there, we grew revenue from 20 million to 150 million. We also grew the sales team from 6 people to 100. We grew the company from 100 people to 1,000, and we grew the number of clients from 1,000 to 14,000. My passion is helping agency owners simplify their marketing and escape founder-led sales by becoming a vertical market specialist. I wrote this book because through my experience in scaling Scorpion and also working with my agency owner clients and interviewing many more on my podcast, this very podcast you're listening to, I've seen the awesome power of specializing in a vertical market can have in scaling. By listening to the book, I hope you embrace and deploy the strategies and tactics I share. If you want to get the full audiobook for free, you can go to anyonenoteveryone.com. That's anyonenoteveryone.com. It's available today. Now onto the episode. Chapter 14, Vertical Outbound Sales and Marketing Strategies. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Peter Drucker, father of modern management theory. Remember what customer development consultant Rory Clark said about the limits of inbound marketing? Here he is again on the benefits of outbound marketing. When you go outbound, if you say you like donuts, you go out and look for donuts. That's the benefit of outbounding. You can go get the exact customers you want instead of taking what's coming to you. Vertical outbound sales and marketing simply means reaching out to your buyers proactively, rather than waiting for them to come to you. As mentioned in Chapter 11, only 5% of your vertical market is actively buying each quarter. So not only are you competing for this small percentage of active buyers, but 95% of your target market isn't even searching for a new agency. Let's take a closer look at the 95% through a concept called the Zone of Indifference. Take a normal distribution curve to represent your vertical market. The line measures your vertical buyers' level of happiness with their current agency. We'll call this the happiness curve. On the far end right of the happiness curve, you have a relatively small number of clients who are extremely happy and satisfied with their current agency. According to a study by Lee Research, only 8% of clients said they were strongly satisfied with their experience. Hopefully that 8% includes some of your agency clients. They're on the extremely happy end of the happiness curve. These people actively recommend their current agency to others and voluntarily evangelize the brand among friends and colleagues. It's unlikely they'll switch from their current agency anytime soon because they are just so happy. On the far other end of the happiness curve on the left end are folks who are very unhappy with their current agency. These are roughly the 5% of clients who have decided to find a new agency and are in the active buying process, as described in Chapter 11. If you have a well-executed vertical inbound marketing strategy in place, as discussed in Chapter 13, you'll capture a share of these leads. What you have in the middle of the happiness curve is what's called the Zone of Indifference. And that's where most of your vertical buyers are right now, upwards of 80% of your total addressable market. Here's a quick story to illustrate what the Zone of Indifference is all about. My wife has an iPhone 11. As of this writing, the latest model is the iPhone 15, making her phone 4 years old. Her phone behaves like the weather in a mountain town, erratic and unreliable. Her phone is slow, the apps crash from time to time, her photo storage is maxed out, and it has a short battery life. She complains about it quite a lot. When I ask her why she doesn't go to the Verizon store and upgrade to the latest iPhone, she says, "I'll get to it." But she never does. When it comes to my wife's iPhone, she's in the zone of indifference. She's stuck in between extremely happy and extremely unhappy. The perceived pain of upgrading to the new phone is greater than the perceived benefits she would get with the new phone, so she puts it off for now. According to research from Wilson Learning, agency clients in the zone of indifference tend not to express their dissatisfaction, meaning there's no opportunity for recovery, are relatively easy for a competitor to steal away, are not a positive source of referrals. To put it simply, instead of just waiting for very dissatisfied customers to find you, if you want more control over your business growth, you need to prospect into the zone of indifference. This large zone is exactly where your competitor agencies are at risk of losing their clients. And here's a quote from the Wilson Learning website. Bottom line, if 80% of customers are neither loyal nor dissatisfied, there is a greater risk of customer defection from the largest segment of your customer population. If that's true, then why do traditional outbound techniques fail so frequently? For example, a study by Keller Research Center at Baylor University found that after 6,264 cold calls were placed over a 7-day period, agents were able to set a total of 19 appointments with prospective clients, equaling a 0.3% success rate. Common mistakes agencies make going outbound. Agencies make two major mistakes contributing to their outbound struggles. One is poor targeting. Poor targeting comes from insufficient research into the vertical market's preferences and needs. A, quote, spam your TAM approach leads to a vacuum of true empathy and a heavy reliance on lead list quantity over quality. When you depend on shady third-party prospect lists, you get unreliable and unqualified leads that don't respond or frequently flake out on their appointments. The second one is easy to ignore creative. When your vertical buyer sees your email come through their inbox, it looks and feels the same as the 10 other ones that she got today. Like a whisper in the storm, typical outbound messages are ignored because they lack uniqueness, are too generic, and are sometimes overly clever at the cost of being clear. As author Donald Miller astutely says, if you confuse, you lose. Here are 4 secrets to unlock outbound for your agency. Number 1, develop expertise in a specific vertical market. Number 2, build a 20% lead list. Number 3, send a gift that is unique, striking, and leaves an impression. Number 4, be persistent yet patient. Number 1, develop expertise in a specific vertical market. Has this ever happened to you? You're at a party, struggling to make small talk with some random partygoer you've just met. You're standing there with a clear plastic cup in one hand and a cocktail napkin in the other, trying to look interested in what they're saying. Yet inside, you're dying. You think, I gotta get out of here. Then, all of a sudden, they say something that clicks. Their mom used to be your 4th grade teacher, or they were in the same fraternity or sorority as you, or they lived in the same apartment building as you did in your 20s. Or you both love the same brand of chips. It could be anything that connects you. Now that you're connected, it changes the entire dynamic of the conversation. That shared history moves them from a stranger to a friend. The energy between the two of you goes from resistance to comfort and flow. It's like adding motor oil to a jammed up engine. Having a shared experience or interest makes everything operate better. This is like what happens when you are a true expert in the same vertical market as your prospect. You're able to move from resistance to trust much faster because you're relatable to them. For example, attorneys in private practice today probably get 10 emails and 5 cold calls a day from agencies eager to help with their marketing. Hey, it's a popular target market. Most of the emails they receive are sloppy, spray and pray approaches at getting the attorney's attention. These messages are ignored, but the carefully crafted messages that truly zero in on the unique world of an attorney who is trying to grow their practice get through. They get noticed because they communicate that the sender, you, understands the attorney's world. That's thanks to deep specialization. You can solve the unique problems for attorneys. Bottom line, specializing in a vertical market improves the likelihood your outbound messages will be noticed. But I hope by this point in the audiobook, you already know this. Number 2, build a 20% lead list. Let's be honest, building a list isn't very sexy. In fact, it's quite boring. But in my experience, agency owners don't obsess over creating a high-quality lead list for going outbound. Instead, they prefer to do the minimum so that they could jump right into messaging, email sequencing, and other flashier parts of the outbound process. But using a low-quality lead list is like a house built on sand. It's likely to fail. That's because everything downstream from the lead list, email subject lines, landing pages, offers, closes, etc., depends on getting to the right person. List building done right improves the likelihood your target prospects will be interested, resulting in better engagement, more appointments, and faster sales growth. As Joey Gilkey, the CEO of Apex Revenue, says, the list is the strategy. My number one rule for outbound list building is quality beats quantity. Apply the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, to your list and build a 20% lead list. In other words, prioritize the businesses that have the potential of being the best fit in your vertical market. Here are the 2 steps for creating a 20% lead list for outbound. Step number 1 is source the leads. There are 4 main ways to find leads for your outbound campaigns. You can create the list yourself, build your list of vertical market businesses by scraping publicly available data via online directories such as Google Business Profile or vertical-specific directories. There are several web scraping tools available online to help with this. If you're not particularly techy or just prefer to outsource it, find a freelancer who specializes in data scraping on sites like Fiverr or Upwork. Another way to find leads is by finding a trusted partner who would be willing to share their lead list with you. This trusted partner could be a referral partner or an indirect competitor who targets the same vertical market as you. For example, let's say you're a digital marketing agency building a lead list of dentists. You can reach out to your referral partners, a SaaS business also targeting dentists, to see if they'll share their list with you or even do a list swap with you. Another way to source a list is to buy a list from a research firm. In some vertical markets and industries, there are research firms specializing in that industry that offer lead lists to people for sale. These lead lists tend to be expensive, but the quality is typically very high. For example, you could buy a database of restaurant leaders from Technomic, a research and consulting firm specializing in the restaurant industry. The 4th option is to purchase a list directly from a broker such as ZoomInfo, Dun & Bradstreet, Apollo.io, or other similar list brokerages. These 4 options are listed above in order of the amount of control you have over who gets on your target lead list. When you create the list yourself, you have complete control of who makes it onto your list. But when you buy a list from a broker, you're purchasing a large bucket of faceless leads. You have no idea where they came from, and they won't tell you, whether the data is good or if the leads are actually in your target market. My strong recommendation is to build your own list. Doing so ensures you have a high-quality list that you can rely on throughout the prospecting process. Deep specialization pro tip. Regardless of the source of leads, build and maintain an internal database of all the businesses in your vertical. Yes, I know it's a lot of work, but you're building a house on a rock-solid foundation. Step number 2 is to prioritize the list. Once you have a high-quality list of leads in your vertical market, the next thing to do is to prioritize the list. You want to isolate the top 20% of businesses with the highest value to your agency. You do that 2 different ways. Number 1, you want to prioritize by need. Let's say your agency sells websites to dentists. Go to a website called the Wayback Machine, and you could look up each dentist on your target lead list to see when the last time they had a website redesign. A dentist's website generally has a lifespan of 3 years. If a dentist website is 3 years or older, as verified on the Wayback Machine website, it's likely they'll need a new one. These dentists should be prioritized on your list over those who have recently updated your websites, say 2 months ago. The other way to prioritize your list is by ability to afford. Continuing with the dentist example, when targeting dentists for your website design services, prioritize practices with multiple dentists or multiple locations. The logic is these practices are likely to have a larger website budget compared to solo practices in one location. Once you have prioritized your lead list by need and ability to afford, only go outbound to those top businesses and just forget the rest. Again, you may think that these steps are a lot of trouble for a lead list. And you're right, it is a lot of work. Here's the thing. The work of sorting through leads will either happen at the front end of the campaign or the back end. The work itself is inevitable. And if you push it to the back end, you'll end up sending a lot of questionable leads to your sales team. Wouldn't you rather they spent time on highly qualified and motivated target clients? Plus, doing this now will be worth it because once you have your 20% lead list, the next step is to send them an eye-opening gift in the mail. Step number 3, send a gift that is unique, striking, and leaves an impression. For many, going outbound means peppering your target leads with a persistent sequence of cold emails, cold calls, and cold LinkedIn in-mails. It's the default process agencies and third-party lead gen companies take. Whether your target audience is attorneys, B2B manufacturing companies, or schools, they're receiving 5 to 10 cold outreaches per day from firms just like yours. To your vertical leads, they're a nuisance and are often simply ignored. Why? Because there isn't an existing relationship between you and the target lead. There's no familiarity, no history, and no trust to build off of at all. But what if you could transform your cold outreach into warm outreach? This is where a gift comes in. Here's a quick story. At Scorpion, over a period of a few years, we sent thousands of personal injury attorneys a Scorpion-branded tin of amazingly delicious cookies. We had never spoken with these attorneys, but we sent them cookies. Why? First, we had a high-quality list that we built, which was prioritized by need and ability to afford. Only the best personal injury attorney leads got the cookies. Second, we had attempted cold calling them for months, but achieved minimal success because the attorneys' gatekeepers often blocked our efforts. The gatekeepers for personal injury attorneys are the receptionists and office managers who answer incoming calls and screen out random people soliciting their business. It's their job to prevent the salesperson at Scorpion or any other agency from ever reaching the attorney who, in our case, was the decision maker we needed to speak with. So instead of persisting with cold calls to little return, we sent the attorney a gift, an overnight delivery of delicious cookies. The delivery would bypass the mailroom and instead arrive on the attorney's desk. Upon opening the delivery and discovering the cookies, they'd end up sharing them with the staff. What happened next was pure magic. The attorney or office staff would inevitably ask, who sent these amazing cookies? Creating a stir in the office where everyone was talking about this company, Scorpion, that sent these delicious morsels of delight. Not surprisingly, the next time the Scorpion salesperson called into the attorney's office, they'd experience a completely different tone from the gatekeeper. It went from, sorry, the attorney isn't available, to, oh, you're from Scorpion? Thank you so much for those amazing cookies. The attorney would like to speak with you. Please hold. And then we would be put through. Now, why did sending a gift like a $50 tin of amazing, delicious cookies transform the dynamic between the Scorpion salesperson, the attorney, and their gatekeeper? Because the attorney's experience of receiving the cookies was unique, meaning no one else sent them amazing cookies. It was striking. It interrupted their day in a delightful way, and it left an impression. It got them and the staff curious about this strange company called Scorpion. The impact of this gift was so significant in reversing the typical sales resistance and increasing outbound appointments that it set a new standard for all our outbound campaigns. The new standard is called a uniquely striking impression, or USI. Here's what it means. Every gift you send your 20% lead list needs to be unique, striking, and leave an impression. The power of USI gifts goes beyond just sending cookies. Over the years, I've sent the following gifts as a first-touch sales outreach. Cookies to attorneys, donuts and coffee to plumbers, flowers to dentists, alcohol to attorneys, iPads to franchise brand CMOs, books to plumbers, and video brochures to everybody. What USI gift is right for your vertical buyer? Sending cookies has worked across industries. Who doesn't like delicious cookies? But you could also change up your USI to pair well with your vertical. For example, don't send plumbers flowers because it wouldn't create the right impression and would probably have the undesired effect of communicating that you don't understand them very well. Instead, deliver glazed donuts and coffee to them. Bottom line, don't take a one-size-fits-all to choosing your USI gift for your vertical. Instead, use these criteria to generate ideas that would work for your deep specialization. Is it unique? Don't just send them a cheap pen with your logo on it. Is it striking? It should interrupt their day in a positive way. Does it leave the right impression? What you send should communicate that you understand them and value them as a potential future client. Leaving the right impression also avoids communicating the gift is a quid pro quo or a conditional relationship. Instead, you want to communicate generosity and genuine interest in building a real relationship. The author of Giftology, John Ruhlin, said it well, quote, "It's the thoughtful thought that counts." If your USI idea meets all three of these criteria, it's likely you'll have a gift that will transform your outreach from cold to warm. Deep specialization pro tip. In our post-COVID world, not everyone goes into the office. To ensure your USI gift arrives at the right location, call the main office line ahead of sending the gift. Tell them you're sending your buyer a gift and ask them where you should send it. They won't likely give you their home address, but they can forward it on your behalf. The fourth step is be persistent yet patient. Outbound sales and marketing aren't hard. Sticking with it is. One of the things that helps to maintain consistency with outbound campaigns is knowing the life cycle of the product or service you sell. For example, Americans buy a new home every 9 years on average. Americans buy a new car every 5 years on average. And dentists get a new website every 3 years on average. That means that every dentist over a 3-year period will likely be in the market for a new website. Sure, this could mean that they stay with their current provider, but they may also shop other providers. This is important because if you're persistent with sending USI gifts to your high-quality dentist leads over a long enough period of time, you'll be top of mind when they're ready for a new website. Why? Because at some point during the 3-year period, they will have realized that they need a new website. I recommend sending your high-quality 20% leads a USI gift once every quarter. Each gift needs to be followed up with a coordinated sales outreach. Continue to do this quarterly gift and sales outreach program until your leads tell you that they chose to go with someone else or they agreed to meet with you. Combining sales outreach with your USI gifts. For the best results, pair each USI gift with a proactive sales outreach. Even if the USI gift leaves a strong impression, most prospects won't initiate contact. It's crucial to reach out to them while you're on their mind. Your seller's follow-up on USI gifts should be timely, consistent, and personalized. The outreach should be the day of or no later than the day after they receive the USI gift. If the seller can't immediately engage with the buyer, they should continue outreach efforts with additional emails and calls over the next 2 to 3 weeks for a minimum of 7 attempts. For the best results, avoid blasting out generically written emails. Instead, have your sellers take the time to craft personalized emails and use call scripts that aren't completely canned. Also send articles, podcast episodes, or videos that actually help. Doing so will reinforce the message you're sending with the USI gift. You're genuinely interested in connecting with them specifically. You should expect 3 to 5% of your targets to respond or engage. Focus on those new opportunities and start planning your USI gift. The targets who don't respond will still receive a USI gift, giving your sellers a valuable, high-quality touchpoint, the impact of which will compound over time. In the next chapter, we're going to dive deep into vertical-specific relationship marketing strategies. Chapter takeaways. If you want control over your growth, you need to proactively reach out to potential clients rather than waiting for them to initiate contact. Target the zone of indifference. 80% of your vertical market is indifferent to their current agency, but they are not actively looking for a new agency. Agencies fail at outbound due to poor targeting and unremarkable creative messaging. Resist the urge to buy a lead list. Build your own. A well-executed USI campaign that is unique, striking, and leaves an impression yields a response or engagement rate of 3 to 5%, with the impact of these touch points compounding over time. Hey, Corey here. I hope you enjoyed that chapter of my book, Anyone, Not Everyone. If you want to get the full audiobook for free, you could do so right now by going to anyoneNotEveryone.com. That's anyoneNotEveryone.com.